at the moment. Certainly just getting himself between ball and man quite consistently, but he's come unstuck here as Willock has given his teammate a little bit of support. Willock now looking for options in front of him, had to go backwards instead towards Bruno Guimaraes. Sandro Tonali does take over. The Italian, a little bit of room inside of the middle of the park, about 40 yards from that Brentford goal. Brentford with all 11 men behind the ball. Trippier inside towards Murphy. No option towards his left. Has to go back towards where the former Burnley man Kieran Trippier is. Cutting inside on that weaker left foot of his. Over towards where Malik Toy and Newcastle happy to retain possession here with Sven Botman. We'll have a little touch on Malik Toy just for a moment. He's really settled into his football, hasn't he? As he's in possession here just past the halfway line for Newcastle, inside of their own half. The German who was signed this season, and it's given with how many other players that have had to take a little bit of time to settle into the Premier League. I think, you know, we're in February now. He's had enough time, but even before then, he really just looked like a duck to water, didn't he? Just was real cruise control when Newcastle knew they had to find themselves a real bit of a gem, hadn't they? They've always had half-decent centre-half options, of course, with, well, Jamal Lascelles recently announcing that he is leaving Newcastle United, but beyond him, Fabian Schär, Sven Botman, of course, featuring tonight, Dan Burn, who has played there numerous times, of course, in that left-back role as well. But Malik Toy is a very, very keen option, and there's just a free kick here for Newcastle. In swing and delivering towards that penalty area. Malik Toy has gone forward as one of them, and there was a little bit of confusion out towards the far post as Dango Utara didn't know what was behind him. He didn't really need to launch out of play, and he's looking towards his teammates as if to say, could have given me a shout there, guys. He was taking no risk at all, puts it behind, and Newcastle do have their first corner of the game, and there's an opportunity for Malik Toy and Sven Botman to go and make themselves be known inside of that Brentford penalty area. They're all queuing up towards the far post. Barnes, Bruno Guimaraes, Toy and Sven Botman are towards the far. Lewis Hall is at the near. It's going to be the in-swing and delivery of Sandro Tonali in towards that 6-yard box. Decent delivery as well. Kelleher away, only as far as Murphy. Little flick on in there too by Harvey Barnes, trying to find it in towards that bottom right corner. He got some good connection on it, but just the wrong side of the post. Kelleher dealt with it quite well initially. Fell towards Murphy, who knew he didn't have too much time. Tried to flick it inwards, and oh, it's very interestingly there. Immediately when Harvey Barnes got the little flick on, Coyote, just natural defensive instincts, tried to get himself on towards the goal line, and immediately Christopher Scher's reaction was just play him offside, get up, don't put yourself in a position where potentially the Lino's flag can stay down. Here is Dango Utara now driving on this right-hand side. Skip past Lewis Hall, promising this for Brentford. In towards Matthias Jensen, chips it in towards that far post. Lewis Potter's got there. He got Thiago trying to head home at the near. There's a real panic station for everyone in black and white. Eventually Trippier came clear, only as far as Sepp van den Berg. It was a great play there by Dango Utara, who just got the wrong side of Lewis Hall, who went sliding in thinking he was going to go make the intervention. He didn't quite do so, and he played it back towards where Matthias Jensen was. He had no angle for a shot, had to clip it in towards the far post, and it was pinball just for a moment, eventually falling into the feet of the former Spurs man Kieran Trippier, and he was able to clear Newcastle's lines. Back with Coyote here on this right-hand side. Little floating ball in towards where Dango Utara is. He tries to help on its way. He's done really, really well, Dango Utara, who's really enjoying his football just at the moment. Playing in towards this far post where Lewis Potter tries to rise again. Trippier is there once more. Lewis Potter now, and he's been found. It looks like he's been brought down from behind there from Kieran Trippier, but the referee oh, he's just waving play on. Oh, mistake in the middle of the park. Chance here for Matthias Jensen with the strike. And Nick Pope is there, able to go and gather. I mean, I can understand. We've got plenty to touch on with that little 5 seconds of play. Bruno Guimaraes does bring this ball forward, though. Here with Sandro Tonali, back here with the Brazilian, and we can reset just for a moment and slow the pace of play down with Sandro Tonali. The initial challenge that came in there from Kieran Trippier, King Lewis Potter has tried to use his body, so he has to go between. He has to take out the man first, then win the ball. He certainly won the ball, but he's gone through the man first. The referee, for me, it should have been a free kick. I think Kieran Trippier has just gone a little bit too aggressively there. Nevertheless, tried to bring it away, did Jacob Murphy, and there to go intervene was Jensen, and he got the shot away, trying to score from distance. Simple save in the end for Nick Pope. And this play can resume here with Kieran Trippier over on this far right-hand side. Just seeing as well, King Lewis Potter in quite animated decision with our fourth official, Rob Jones, as if to say, tell your man in the middle of the park to please see what I'm seeing, because I feel that should have been a free kick towards my way. And Jenelt is the next one to commit a foul over there on Bruno Guimaraes, just on the halfway line. Play can resume with Sven Botman. 17 minutes played. Newcastle 0, Brentford 0. We'll give you a quick little run through as well in just a moment of what else has happened so far in the Premier League today. Here is Lewis Hall back towards where Sven Botman is once more. There's the Dutchman looking for the reversal pass in towards his captain Bruno Guimaraes, and him and Vitaly Janelt are both in a bit of a battle here. 2 fouls in a matter of basically 60 seconds there by Vitaly Janelt, and Andy Madley isn't having a conversation with him just yet, but I'm sure he will be taking note with his officials in his ear. Jordan Henderson is there to go and intervene. A loose ball trying to be played out from the back by Malik Toy. Jensen, the Dane, little pass backwards towards where Sepp Vandenberg tries to send Lewis Potter on his way, to no avail in the end. Malik Toy can knock it back towards Nick Pope, and Newcastle can rebuild here with Sven Botman. But interestingly, I mentioned at the very start of the coverage of how this battle between Lewis Potter and Kieran Trippier was going to shape up, whether or not they were going to go man-to-man. Brentford, they haven't gone man-to-man at all, as Visser just puts this one into touch. It's going to be a Brentford throw on this left-hand side. They haven't gone man-to-man. They're happy for Lewis Potter to continue venturing forward and just try and cause some havoc behind Kieran Trippier's shoulders, and try and see if he can get himself on the score sheet tonight. Let's quickly run you through what else has happened in the Premier League as Brentford try and play their way out from the back. Manchester United won much earlier on, 2-0 in that contest. Brian Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes with the goals. Christian Romero, who was sent off from the 29th minute, his 6th red card throughout his tenure at Tottenham Hotspur. Bournemouth came from behind to draw 1-1 against Aston Villa, cancelling out Morgan Rogers' goal. Was Ryan 1-1 in that contest. Arsenal winning 3-0 against Sunderland. Martin Zubimendi and Victor Gyökeres with the goals. Burnley lost 2-0 at home against West Ham United. Big result for Nuno Espirito Santos' side to really claw back the gap on the bottom three. Fulham, who are 1 goal up thanks to a Vitaly Mikalenko own goal, eventually saw their lead pinned back with just 15 minutes to play. Dewsbury Hill got the equaliser, and Bert Leno with an own goal only a matter of 8 minutes later, as Chelsea also winning by 3 goals to 1. Cole Palmer with a hat-trick in the first half was enough for the Blues to not quite keep a clean sheet, but get the job done for Liam Rosinia's side. Here at St James's Park, we've just ticked over towards the 20th minute. If you're just joining us, you're listening to live audio coverage of Newcastle against Brentford. Goalless so far. No massive real saves for either keeper to make. Brentford feeling they should have had a penalty when Lewis Potter was brought down inside of the area by Kieran Trippier, and that's all we've got to write about so far. Coyote is looking to try and find Lewis Potter now. He was driving forward in towards that 6-yard box. He couldn't quite get there, could the Englishman. Rico Henry does, though, keeping possession. Matthias Jensen, lovely little bit of feet, about 25 yards from goal, looking for options in front of him. Doesn't really have too many options in light turquoise coloured kits, only black and white shirts. Here is Christopher Eschere then over on this right hand side. Dango Utara looking to whip this ball in towards that penalty area, headed clear, and Newcastle just going into their shell for a moment, and Brentford happy to resume play. Over here with Coyote on this right hand side, there's Jensen and Janelt were both in Andy Madley, our officials' ears. Joe Willett does bring down Coyote, and it's going to be a free kick to Brentford just on the halfway line. The Bees can get us back resumes. Janelt is starting to really grow in this game as the holding midfielder. Him and Jordan Henderson just enjoying a little bounce pass there. The two holding midfielders, we didn't really see them for the first 5-10 minutes or so, but even now Janelt's come that just a little bit deeper, and he's really starting to dictate things. He always picks out a man in turquoise, very rarely gives away possession, does Janelt, and he's constantly in an area where he's always available. Here is Henderson now. He's got Janelt towards his left-hand side. Opts out of that one. Goes towards Eschere instead. Sepp Vandenberg, the Dutchman, again, still trying to break down this Newcastle line, but I think since Eddie Howe's side can really see the dangers that are in front of them. They've just stepped off ever so slightly, basically gone towards a back 5 at the moment. Whereas Brentford are skipping the ball around a little bit like Spain of 2010 with the way they're keeping possession, moving about, really keeping their shape too. Here is Kelleher pumping this ball forward towards where Igor Thiago is. Cleared away by Sven Botman. Janelt feels he's been fouled in the back by Bruno Guimaraes, and the Brazilian, towards the absolute disbelief at Andy Madley's decision, will be a Brentford free kick just on the halfway line. Janelt trying to take it quickly, easily intervened though by Lewis Hall. Back towards where Sven Botman is. Here is Lewis Hall once again. Dagur Tara is putting a bit of pressure on the former Chelsea man. He's been forced back towards Nick Pope in goal, and the Englishman taking no risks at all, pumping this one down towards this left-hand side. Barnes trying to fend off the challenges coming in from Coyote. He's done very, very well there, has Barnes, and he's created a little bit of space in behind for Willock, who is exploiting that little channel, trying to find a way past Ajer, the Englishman. Little chip ball in towards that penalty area. Lewis Hall couldn't quite get there, but that's a really, really nice little good spell by Newcastle. And to be honest, for the Magpies, that's the best we've really seen so far today from them in terms of that little bit of interplay. There's a good 3-4 passes that just split open the Brentford defence over on this far left-hand side, and it's resulted in a corner. It's led Malik Toy and Sven Botman both to go slowly strolling forward, but just that little bit of play just gave that, you know, real sense of boost. Here is Bruno Guimaraes then to whip this one in towards that penalty area, towards that near post. Igor Thiago was taking no risk, turned away. There's will be another Newcastle corner kick. There was just a real moment of confusion between Dango Utara and Igor Thiago. Both men were going for the ball. Igor Thiago basically looking towards his winger as if to say, I had that one. Please don't go flying in next time. 20 minutes to play or so, just over of this first half. Is going to be the in-swing and delivery again from Bruno Guimaraes, and Sven Botman's made it, and the Dutchman does score from close range. You did feel a set piece was going to be the undoing of this game, and it's a good, decent delivery by Bruno Guimaraes, but Sven Botman just using his body so well, getting some decent contacts on it. No chance for Kelleher to react, and Newcastle, who you'd feel have arguably been second best so far in this contest, won't care one bit. They find themselves one goal to the good, courtesy of Sven Botman arriving inside of that 6-yard box. And it's Newcastle 1, Brentford 0. It just got into an absolute mess inside of the penalty area, and it was a real mismatch in the end. It was Rico Henry that ended up finding himself marking the big 6'4", 6'5" frame of Sven Botman, and he had no chance in rising for any chance of header. And it was just a glancing little touch by the Dutchman. Took a little bounce on the way and ended up in the roof of the net. It's a really, really delicate piece of play. No chance at all for Kelleher to react. By the time he's got back and seen where the ball's gone, it's already behind him and in the back of the net. And Sven Botman, who's really been struggling for minutes, hasn't he, with an injury crisis, and now with Fabian Schär out, and he's starting to enjoy his football again, the Dutchman, and now he's got himself on the score sheet tonight. Sven Botman with the goal, and Newcastle with the lead. Just ticked over towards the 25th minute, and the home side now have the advantage as Botman already involved once more as Jensen tries to lump this ball on towards Igor Thiago. Over here with Ajer. He's got pressure behind him in the black and white shirt of Harvey Barnes. Opts out of the pass backwards, goes to Coyote instead. Matthias Jensen, little flicking towards Igor Thiago. Good response to this by Brentford. Matthias Jensen once more trying to find any kind of room to whip one in towards that penalty area. Opts out of it instead and does give away possession behind him. Lewis Hall, nice little skip to get past the challenge from Jensen and picks out where Willock was. He tries to take it a little bit ambitiously inside of his stride, and ball does trickle out of play. There's going to be a Brentford throw on that right-hand side. Food for thought for Keith Andrews. Here is Dango Utara then, in towards that 6-yard box, and it's a great save by Nick Pope. It took a wicked deflection. I believe it was off the ankles of the goal scorer, Sven Botman. It was just a simple ball played in towards where Dango Utara was. He tried to fizz it across the face of goal, and it was going wide, but Nick Pope didn't know that. He felt like he needed a touch, and he parried it away with some distance on it. But Brentford not going into their shell at all. Coyote is over to go and take this throw on then. He's gone short in towards Janelt. Matthias Jensen, loads of room to get the shot away, and it was probably the wrong option by Matthias Jensen. He had options queuing up until that far post. He didn't opt for them. The Dane trying to take one on from a really, really ambitious position, the Brentford captain, but wasn't really the right option. Should have tried to swing one in towards that far post. So just to note today, there's only two teams that have won at home. That is Arsenal and Manchester United. And Arsenal, of course, with their win against Sunderland. So that means if this result stays as it is, Newcastle will rise above their noisy neighbours. Long ball play forward by Nick Pope. Sandro Tonali trying to get himself involved, and it will result in a Brentford throw over on that right-hand side. It's one of them for Keith Andrews, because you find yourself behind by 1 goal, and your team is playing well. They're not doing too much wrong. It's just they need a goal. They need something to try and steady their nerves a little bit. Vitaly Yenalt feels that he didn't knock the ball out of play, but our referee, Andy Madley, trying to keep up with play, does deem that a contact off of him. And will be a Newcastle run on that left-hand side. Dango Utara has just pulled up here for a second, and yes, out a real yell. He's already got himself back to his feet, but he's just moving a little bit gingerly, to be honest with you. For me, the way he's gone down is a little bit disconcerting, and he's really feeling that right leg. He just went to extend, and he seemed to overextend just that little bit. Ball played over the top now and towards this left-hand side. Barnes does bring it down, shaping up against Coyote, cutting inside towards where Lewis Hall is, driving towards the byline. Great run this by Hall, falling towards where Barnes, and Johan Visser trying to convert from close range, cleared off the line. Murphy knocking it off of Yanal, and it is going to be a Newcastle corner. Johan Visser nearly scoring against his former side, just fell towards him. It all came from the darting run by Lewis Hall. Again, I said about them straight runs, them straight lines, and he picked out his man inside of that penalty area, falling towards where Visser was. He tried to guide it in towards the bottom right corner, and it came off the knee of Vitaly Yenalt. And eventually, from a little ricochet, does result in another Newcastle corner. They scored for their previous one. It's going to be Kieran Trippier to potentially put in an outswinging delivery. Lewis Hall is towards his left-hand side. It will be Trippier towards the edge of the penalty area, falling towards where Tonali is. He made some good contact on it. Cleared away, though, by Christopher Aguirre, and Brentford are just being absolutely peppered at the moment by Newcastle United. And Bruno Guimaraes just giving a little wave towards the crowd. That's all he needs to do to really rally up the troops and get that momentum back going. Their 5th corner of the game already. We've only played half an hour. Again, it's going to be the in-swinging delivery of Bruno Guimaraes in towards that penalty area. It's a great ball as well. Aguirre is there to clear, and now it's half a dozen corners taken so far for Newcastle. You do the average every 5 minutes. The home side are getting themselves with a set piece to whip one in towards the penalty area. The skipper once again of Bruno Guimaraes. Of course, he's enjoyed such a lustrous campaign whilst in them black and white colours, and he's got an opportunity here to whip one in towards that far post where Botman and Malik Twal are making themselves be known. As Bruno Guimaraes' ball does go in towards the penalty area, cleared away by Kelleher, only as far as Tonali, and he tried to fizz it downwards and get some sort of ricochet or bounce inwards, and just got a bit too much bounce in it in the end, and it's gone all the way over the top of Kelleher's goal. Half an hour played then. If you're just joining us, you're listening to live audio coverage of Newcastle against Brentford. 1-0 to Newcastle, courtesy of Sven Botman, arising at a corner. Long ball played forward towards Igor Thiago, headed away by Sandro Tonali. Henry, once again on this left-hand side, looking for options short, but there is Murphy to go and intervene. Just seeing how Eddie Howe has managed this game, he realised the situation that he found himself in, with Brentford starting to build that little bit of momentum. Just got into his shell just a little bit, just to weather that storm. Got a goal from the set piece, and now they're starting to kick on. There's a push in the back over there by Dango Utara on Kieran Trippier, and Newcastle already wanted to get play moving quickly, but just how just little moments. It was only in about 3 or 4 minutes where Brentford, you could feel, was starting to really get ahead of themselves, and Newcastle just weathered it calmly, get themselves a corner, got themselves in the lead. Here is Bruno Guimaraes trying to launch a long ball forward over towards where Willock is on that left-hand side. Poor ball, though, by the Brazilian. Here is Jordan Henderson with Lewis Hall up behind him. Coyote forced to pump this long down the throat of the pitch. Botman is there to go and intervene. Bruno Guimaraes trying to help it on its way towards Lewis Hall. He's got pressure behind him, and 2-3 shirts eventually crowd him out. But Newcastle happy to retain possession once again with Sandro Tonali. Back here with Malik Toy, the German. Happy to retain possession and roll it back towards his man in goal, Nick Pope, who has done well, hasn't he, to retain his spot as Newcastle's number one. With the introduction of Aaron Ramsdale has created that real bit of competition, hasn't it, between the pair, but he's been able to make sure that seat is his. And I know Aaron Ramsdale did join a little bit late to try and continue playing his football, but you've got to say Nick Pope, for all of his faults maybe with playing out from the back, he's such a good shot stopper, and Newcastle do keep it simple when they do try and go back to him. There's Tonali trying to play it in towards where Trippier is. He thought Trippier was in a little bit more of an advanced position. The Italian just knocking that one out of play right in front of where Keith Andrews' technical area is. Here is Rico Henry then, over to go and take this throw on. Jensen just trying to make himself be known. Henry opting out of the long throw on backwards in towards Jordan Henderson, as Henry does try to help it on its way, as Henderson has vacated a nice large bit of area, and that has led to Visser going steaming in on it. Janelt is there to go and intervene, and Henderson does take over as Igor Thiago, he gets his touch all wrong, the Brazilian, with a real error there. All we needed was a little 1-2 between him and Jordan Henderson, and he's tried to play the pass and he's lost his balance completely, giving away possession in the most embarrassing of ways. Janelt now in towards where Igor Thiago, this time his touch is better and he can get Matthias Jensen involved. First time ball on towards his right hand side with Lewis Potter. Driving forward with a bit of tenacity is key Lewis Potter, trying to find a way past Lewis Hall, but he's been forced backwards. It's good defending there by Lewis Hall, just ushered him up and forced him the way that he doesn't particularly want to go. Janelt now trying to find any kind of room forward. Newcastle, when they have this shape, it's so hard to try and break them down. They're in basically a 5-4-1. Visser, the only one that is basically leading the line, and it's almost Eddie Howe's way of inviting teams in and say, well, if you want to score, try and have a go at us. There's going to be no room really to play in, and if you do get it into an area, we're going to have enough black and white shirts to go and swarm in on you. It's so much so that Brentford have been forced all the way back towards their Irishman Kelleher in goal. He tries to chip one over towards where Igor Thiago is, and Botman can go and intervene. Once more over here with Coyote, here with Ager, and Brentford happy to retain possession with 10 minutes to go of this first half. This will end Newcastle's current streak of no wins in 4, only 1 draw in the month, that little timeline. So will be a little bit of pressure off of Eddie Howe, who you've got to feel has to get his side chasing for Europe. It's such a tight league this year, isn't it? And certainly 7th place will be a European position. Jensen now back towards where Henry is, and Kelleher can flick one over on towards his right hand side with Coyote. I say it really should be a 7th position for Europe. That's basically going off of the great stuff we're seeing so far with English teams, as Ager has come driving forward on this right hand side. It's a decent little run as well by Ager. He made all of 30-40 yards, actually played it out towards where Lewis Potter was on this right hand side. He tries to put one in towards where Igor Thiago will be making the run, and does get a little blocking by Lewis Hall. It will be a Brentford corner kick, but it's some really nice play there over on that right hand side, particularly by Christopher Ager, just using his pace and power to get Brentford's first corner of the game. It will be Janelt over there to go and whip one in towards that penalty area. It's going to be the in-swinging delivery of Vitaly Janelt. Lewis Hall is already making his presence be known against Dango Utara. They are right up close, the Newcastle defenders. They need to make sure they don't run the risk of conceding a penalty. We know how they have been a little bit favourable for Brentford this season. Janelt tries to come driving in, but there is Botman able to go and clear, and Coyote can pick up the loose ball, head home towards Keeman Kelleher. And this is what I mean about how they just don't stop. Jacob Murphy has gone sprinting in on Kelleher then, and he's looked back towards his teammates and he's waving his arms almost as if to say, where are you guys? You can't have me doing this on my own. Ball in towards that penalty area. It's met there as well and converted in by Vitaly Janelt. It's a fantastic little delivery, and Janelt was arriving and he just sent Nick Pope the wrong way. He was gathering all of his momentum, was Pope, trying to react to it. He couldn't quite do so, and it's a glancing little header by Vitaly Janelt, and it's Newcastle 1, Brentford 1, And you've got to say, it's very much deserved. They've been by far the better team in this first half. Newcastle getting themselves in the score on the score sheet via a set piece. It was Dango Utara who came driving forward on this left-hand side, and he puts in an absolutely delicious delivery. And there was 2-3 of them queuing up. Igor Thiago at the near, King Lewis Potter at the far, and arriving in between them was Vitaly Yenalt, getting some decent contact on it, glancing the ball in towards the ground. The bounce is what does Pope as well, because he's already committed downwards. He can't react. And Newcastle, who have already found themselves in the lead in this contest, have got to find the lead again, because Keith Andrews' side are already on level terms. I'll tell you what, take nothing away as well. If it's Keith Andrews, if it's one of his coaching staff, whoever it is that has decided, I meant to mention this earlier, King Lewis Potter and Dango Utara. Dango Utara is on the right-hand side. King Lewis Potter is on the left. Now, that has all changed about 5-10 minutes ago, and they've swapped wings. In doing so, it's freed up Dango Utara so much. He's getting in behind Kieran Trippier, and he's getting himself into areas where they know he can cause a real bit of damage. And in doing so, that has led to an absolutely fantastic goal converted at the near by Vitaly Yenalt, heading one in towards that far post. Nevertheless, Newcastle do resume play. They're just trying to play a ball in behind. Kelleher came and claimed, at least he thought he did. There was a deflection on the ball, and it's resulted in a Newcastle corner. It's going to be Sandro Tonali, 2-1 in towards that penalty area. It's a decent ball in as well by Tonali, and it went all the way to the far post. There was nobody arriving. Bounces all the way long through. Will be a Brentford goal kick, but it was a really, really nice ball in by Sandro Tonali, and all it needed was a bit of an ambitious runner just arriving at the far post to go and make some decent contact on it. Nevertheless, 6 minutes to play then of this first half. Newcastle 1, Brentford 1. Certainly lived up to standards. We expected a entertaining game, and that's exactly what we've got. Here is Igor Thiago trying to head it back towards Coyote as Jensen tries to flick one on. King Lewis Potter getting his body about. Igor Thiago, a little flick on towards Lewis Potter, driving down towards this left-hand side. This time he goes down, and this time he does win the free kick in a really, really good position. It's about 25-30 yards out. However, it's right down, well, not quite right down the middle, but just off of the left-hand side. It's going to favour a right footer to have a go from distance a little bit further than 25-30 yards, probably more 30-35 yards, give or take. However, that isn't going to stop someone in turquoise having a go from distance. There's Dango Utara, Jordan Henderson, Vitaly Yenalt, King Lewis Potter, Matthias Jensen, all standing over it, having a little word with what they want from their taker. For me, it's looking like King Lewis Potter is going to score, well, is going to take the free kick and potentially score from this distance. I was just about to say that Reece James did score from a relatively similar position. In fact, up this end, didn't he? When Chelsea played Newcastle United, they came from behind to get themselves a point. It's virtually in the exact same kind of area. Jordan Henderson has just stepped towards the side. It's going to be Lewis Potter from range then. Lewis Potter's free kick straight into the wall. Good block there by Visser. Back towards where Yenalt is. He floats one back in towards that penalty area. Header in there by Christopher Auger, and Nick Pope can go and gather. He's gone short in towards Lewis Hall. Hall now having to force his way backwards, trying to switch the field of play out towards Kieran Trippier on that weaker right foot of his. It's a wicked bit of knuckle on it, and Trippier, the forward Tottenham man, can bring away with it towards the skipper, Bruno Guimaraes. Here is Joe Willock once again. As Newcastle finding themselves back in possession. I bet Joe Willock would love to get in towards that scoring form that we know he is certainly capable of. As Murphy in towards Kieran Trippier once more, back towards the German Malik Toy, and Nick Pope can reset for Newcastle. Igor Thiago, we haven't seen too much of Igor Thiago so far tonight, but I think that's understandable given the way that Brentford are playing. They're playing okay, but they're just trying to do all the work as much as possible inside of the midfield, feeling they could win this midfield midfield battle. 3.5 minutes to play until we head in towards stoppage time. Here is one of them goal scorers so far in this contest, Botman. Nice little reversal ball when Lewis Hall can go and take over. Tries to send where Visser was, but he couldn't quite do so. And Vitaly Janelt can bring it away. Coyote, again, always looking to try and play forward. Janelt is happy to keep possession here with over Matthias Jensen. Henry back towards where Sepp van den Berg, and we're just having a real spell of possession. You've got to say it's been a very, very entertaining first half so far in this contest. Both these sides, well, there's a mistake there by Sepp van den Berg. We'll come back to that point in just a moment. Here is Sandro Tonali trying to cut one towards the edge of the penalty area, but there is Janelt to go and intervene. Eventually, Keane Lewis Potter can help him on his way to Igor Thiago. The Brazilian has done excellently. He's fallen towards where Coyote is, trying to roll through Dango Utara. Dango Utara, a little one touch to set himself. Utara, he sends Kieran Trippier the wrong way. Sets it back towards where Matthias Jensen, complains for handball. Over towards where Jacob Murphy is. Penalty. And it could be double jeopardy here. We could potentially see a red card as well. King Lewis Potter thinks it's a red card. Kieran Trippier is saying that Jacob Murphy is innocent. Eyes towards where Andy Madley is. Yellow card distributed towards the boos of them away fans who had the best view of the house on it up towards the north of this away stand. It fell towards Matthias Jensen, and he was desperately trying to get the ball out of his feet. He tried to lift it in towards the bottom right corner, and there was Murphy, and he's just moved his arm into it. For me, it's a red card. I can't see how the referee can't not give it, because it's a clear denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. The ball's going in. The ball is literally going in towards the back of the net unless Pope can react to it quick enough. I mean, our VAR team, of course, will be checking this one. That is John Brooks, and our assistant VAR is Mark Scholes. I mean, for me, Murphy's moved his arm into it, and it's going in the bottom right. It's going in the bottom right corner. I can't see any other way. It's not a penalty. Well, it's definitely a penalty and a red card. It's not as if he's trying to get his arm out the way. There is an argument that he's moving his arm into a natural position, but in doing so, he's moving his arm into the ball. So he's just saved it, to be totally honest with you. Murphy's moved his arm into it and has just saved Jensen's shot. I mean, everybody in turquoise colours has gone absolutely berserk, feeling that it's definitely a red card. They might send Andy Madley over towards the monitor to sell it. He's just trying to look as composed as possible, waiting for it. He said, no, it's a penalty. And VAR, no, they're not giving it. They're not giving the red card. I mean, hey, it's one of them again. It's going to be debated. They're just checking for any potential offsides at this point. There's no offsides at all because the pass towards Jensen has gone backwards and there's 3 black and white shirts in front of him before he takes the shot. Again, credit has to go to Dango Utara because he's made a great run. The ball's been played into him. And rather than rushing and getting the shot away with his left foot, he does a little Cruyff turn, sets himself, and again, he's not greedy. He sees that Jensen is waiting there, just queuing up in the penalty area, ready for a tap-in. He rolls it to him, and it's led to a penalty. And it's going to be Igor Thiago, I imagine, from 12 yards. He's quite fascinating here as well. I mean, Igor Thiago, who has been so successful from the spot for Brentford. Now that really is interesting. Jordan Henderson, King Lewis Potter and Coyote, virtually like his bodyguards, have all stood around on the penalty spot waiting for Igor Thiago, who's just taken a moment to step away and steady himself to convert from close range. It's going to be Igor Thiago from 12 yards end up against Nick Pope. Just FYI as well, as this is happening, we've got 4 minutes of stoppage time. We've already ticked in towards a minute of it. I imagine we'll go towards minute 50, minute 51. Nevertheless, it's Igor Thiago then, who of course has scored 4 of his last 5 penalties. Igor Thiago and Brentford, who have had numerous penalties so far this season, again, have an opportunity from 12 yards to go 2-1 up, having been 1-0 down in this contest. Igor Thiago then stepping up, right-footed, little stutter in his run-up, and he drills it in towards the bottom left corner. And Brentford, who were 1-0 down early doors, have found themselves 2-1 up, heading in towards half-time. It was a handball there by Jacob Murphy and converted at the spot by Igor Thiago. And Brentford and Keith Andrews' side, as it stands, will be marching up towards the level points with Liverpool. And that really goes to show the season that they are having. And Igor Thiago, it's the little stutter as well, because Nick Pope goes to commit towards his left-hand side, and he's just done a little feint, and Igor Thiago has read it from that little pause, taken a little look up, seen what Pope is trying to do, and rolled it in towards the upper corner. And by the way, even if Pope does go the right way, he's drilled it in towards into the bottom corner. He's got no chance of getting there whatsoever. Igor Thiago with a loud exclaim and a big fist pump towards where them away supporters are based towards the high end of St James's Park. Gives a little hug towards his manager as well. And Keith Andrews' side have shown some real character to come from behind so far in this first half and find themselves 2-1 to the good. Again, penny for Eddie Howe's force. If they don't win this game, they'll be winless in 5. And that does scream a little bit of a troublesome moment. I mean, there was question marks. Hey, I thought they were quite harsh reports, to be totally honest, when Newcastle exited the League Cup midweek about Eddie Howe's future. For me, he has to stay. He's been a fantastic asset in this Newcastle United side. Of course, still in Europe as well. They've got to go through the Champions League playoffs. They've got a trip to Karabakh on their way. A real long trip to Azerbaijan. But for me, he has to stay. Him and Jason Tindall have done an absolutely fantastic job. Ooh, there's a high boot there by Dango Utara on Kieran Trippier. And there might be a yellow card being dished out for Dango Utara. He's just tried to flick it. Andy Madley just already over there. I mean, there's nothing intentional on it. Trippier has won the ball cleanly, just with a header. And Utara's tried to flick it on. And he's caught Kieran Trippier. But nevertheless, referee not going to go towards his book. He might have got away with him there, Dango Utara. Nevertheless, free kick taken by Kieran Trippier in towards where Johan Visser was. But there's a foul in there by Visser to his complete disbelief. And it is going to be a Brentford free kick just on the edge of their own penalty area. By no means is this game done, by the way. This has got so much riding on it in towards the second half. Then Newcastle supporters have just gone muted just for a moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are shouting their heads off in towards the second half. We know how much the Toon Army, well, you don't get a nickname like that if you don't make a lot of noise. So we certainly know they're going to be the 12th man in that second half, trying to roar their side to a real comeback. But again, just to note too, that with Brentford changing sides, of course, it's just little fine details. They change sides at the start of the contest, and it's just these fine details which just throw Newcastle a little bit off their game plan, because of course they're going to be attacking towards where them away supporters are based, right at the gods of St James's Park. Igor Thiago has just committed a foul there on Malik Toy, and it is going to be a Newcastle free kick deep inside of their own half. We'll give you a quick run through of what has happened so far in this game at half time. What has been a fabulously entertaining game as well. We might get one last Newcastle attack just before we head into the break. Nick Pope just taking his time over this free kick. I think he's taken too long actually. Nick Pope, I think when he pumps this forward, our referee Andy Madley will blow for half-time. There is half-time as Pope does pump this ball forward. Sven Botman was the man that opened up the score, and it was a nice little corner played into him. Glancing little header there by Sven Botman, and Newcastle finding themselves in the lead. But then just moments after, Vitaly Yanaut getting on the end of a really, really nice delivery towards the penalty area, putting it the other side where Nick Pope just came from. And that was 1-1. And then just moments ago, Igor Thiago from the spot after Matthias Jensen's effort was blocked by the arm of Jacob Murphy. Penalty kick all from 12 yards, and it was a lovely taken penalty as well by Igor Thiago, who has scored 5 of his last 6 penalties, as well as the Brazilian. Half-time then, here in what has been a fabulously entertaining contest. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 10 minutes' time or so for the second half of this game. I think we're going to be guaranteed some more goals. Half-time then, Newcastle 1, Brentford 2.